So today we are on Bciu 105, and we are drilling in on headline writing. So everybody signed in, right? Or getting there? All right. You can sign in while we talk. All right. So to start with headline writing, we really want to think not just, and this is SEO, but it's also writing headlines for our website, newsletters, etc., all of our products. So what you really want to do is think about where the story appears. So I pulled this screenshot from the Herald, but it's, as we know, it's the same for all three of our sites. So sometimes it'll appear in the centerpiece area, and you'll have a photo and a headline. Sometimes it appears right here in the number 2 spot, and you have a headline and a subhead, and sometimes it appears without any other art or subheads. So you guys want to really think about that as you're writing the headlines, that it can appear in any of these kind of situations. So don't write a headline where seeing the art is imperative to making sense for it. And that's exactly what I said. So you may not always see the photo. And that works really well in print, obviously. You can write, you can kind of build a package together where you maybe have a question headline that goes with the art and goes with the subhead. And online, that just doesn't work together, and you have to think about it in those separate pieces. So, made up a few headlines here. So, Clinton smokes pot and Telluride. So, online, where you don't have that package displayed, you may not have the headline, you may not have the cutline, you may not have the lead, etc. So, this may be what you have in print, but online, if you just have Clinton smokes pot and Telluride, it could be a whole different thing, right?
It'll get people to your website, won't it?
Maybe. So if Hillary Clinton is the one smoking pot in Telluride, you want to make sure that you say Hillary Clinton smokes pot in Telluride. It makes a big difference. That will trend much more than Clinton or George Clinton smoking pot, let's be honest. And so I have a couple other kind of similar examples like this. So like if your headline is Paul brings home win, without any sort of context, it could be Rand Paul, it could be Les Paul, it could be Chris Paul, you don't know what that is. And so that's where, that SEO of using first name, last name, which is so opposite of AP style, is imperative. For those proper nouns, you really want to be as specific as you can. And then the most famous example for years and years is a headline with the word Hilton in it versus Paris Hilton are totally, totally different, There have been a lot of jokes about this in clever SEO circles over the years. But just, make sure that when you have somebody, you're typically using a first name, last name. So in SEO, you always want to use first name, last name. That said, there are some exceptions. And how we talked about last time, really think about how people search. Hickenlooper, do we need his first name? No. Is it John? I really don't know. Is it John? Yes. But, that's a very distinctive last name. Obama, obviously, is a pretty common name. Clinton, typically would be if we were talking about Bill Clinton and he was still president. But right now, with Hillary running, first name, last name is really imperative there. And I put Roger Federer in there just because I like Roger Federer. Has nothing to do with anything. So this is kind of building, again, on what we talked about last time, but so keywords are the foundation of search. And what puts keywords, the most important keywords on an article page is the headline. So what you are creating when you write a perfect headline for a story is you are creating the perfect search for that page. Now there's other factors that feed into that we talked a little bit about last time, meta tags, the meta content on there. But as far as keywords go, that headline is pretty much the most imperative thing that you can create to go with that article. So this is our third time. Mark, give me a short tail keyword.
Pizza?
Give me a different short tail keyword.
I thought that was the funniest thing. I rewound that like 5 times to listen to it because I thought that was the funniest thing ever. I don't know. Assets.
What a
Bank.
Bank. All right. Michael, can you give me a long tail keyword for bank that's local to us?
First Nationals.
Mm-hmm. And so that's, what we want to aim for is those long tail keywords that we can trend for. Like I said last time, we're not going to trend for bank.
There's First Nationals banks all over the country.
Right, so a long tail would be First National Bank of Durango.
I didn't know that. That said, you can write a headline that's too long. And let's be honest, we're doing it all over the place here at the Herald. And it's something we really need to work on. You will be penalized if your headline is too long. So, co-schedule.
By Google, not.
I will get out the ruler and smack your knuckles, Katie.
Oh, like that hasn't happened.
So, like everything else, there are quite a few headline analyzers out there. The one that I'm going to recommend that we use is CoSchedule, and the direct URL is coschedule.com/headline-analyzer, and I can email that out afterward. And we're going to dive into this a little bit, but what it looks at is word use, the length, and an ideal SEO headline, according to them, and like I said, all sites are a little bit different, is 6 words and 55 characters. That's really short if you look at it. So, I'm a little bit looser than that, but it's good to look at that. And it also shows you search results and how you trend for keywords. So that said, what we're going to do is we're going to go to coschedule.com. We're going to plop in some Durango Herald headlines. So literally, anybody have a suggestion from today they want to look at?
Right, that one right there on the centerpiece.
All right. So you'll get the fun pop-ups on here because we're not paying for it. So literally just paste your headline in there, click Analyze, and about half the results are free, so we can see about half the results. So it gives you a score based on how your headline is.
Is that out of 100?
It is out of 100.
That's not good.
The higher the better?
The higher the better. 100 is perfect. So it does give us a B+ overall. And this is interesting. Some of this is okay. Some of it I don't buy into quite as much. But it looks at how common your words and grammar is and the structure. I'm a little bit less interested in this as far as SEO trending goes, but it is interesting to look at when you're plugging it in. And so you can see,
To be less common?
It is because then you're more distinctive in what people are searching for. So like this one has 19th century mining law. Like there is nothing in here that says, hey, Colorado, it's the Hard Rock Mine. It's kind of a clever little headline. So you can poke around this part, but I wouldn't get too, they look at emotion. That doesn't really help with SEO. That's more like writing a good headline. But down here a little bit is what you want to drill into more. So our headline is generic. That's not good. And then it looks at your character count and your word count, and green is good. So, 52 characters, like I said, 55 is about perfect, and 9 words, so we're pretty spot on right there. And then what it does is it shows you some of the results you're going to get. What it's going to look like on Google. And then what it would look like if somebody were emailing it and how it would cut off. And that's in mobile, I believe. And then SEO really likes to look at it, really gives heavy emphasis to your first 2 words, and then it gives a little bit to your last. And so, again, you can see here this is pretty generic. Throws out your keywords that you're looking at here. Obviously, I think you guys can all look at that and say, oh, those are not what we want to trend for on that story. Century, rock, and law. Those are not what that story's about. And then again, it goes into sentiment, which is neither here nor there in my mind. And then exactly, not so good.
Sorry.
And then it's got your score again at the bottom, so you can just see that again. So it's like I said, it's not a perfect one. It's a good free tool. There's AdWords and Keyword.io, but those are mostly paid. Although I am going to go into Keyword.io here a little bit, but it's a good simple headline analyzer. And it's worth just kind of plopping in every now and then. And I would say probably moving forward, we want to at least look at the centerpiece every day on there. And I would say the centerpiece on whatever section you're doing, not just the homepage center or the. Ooh, I'm an online girl, not just your online centerpiece. So we're going to do this Durango Coffee Company one too, just to do a second example. That's a bummer. Really common words. Now this is one where I would say it's a little bit in error, because while Durango, Coffee, and Company are generic words, that is the proper pronoun for this company. And so, it sees those as individual words, not as one company. So this is one where I'd say they were probably wrong, because if people want to know what the hell's happening with Durango Coffee Company, they're going to Google Durango Coffee Company. Length and character count are pretty spot on that one, how it would look in search results. And in case you guys are wondering how it would look in search results, why that's important is because if it's too long, it cuts off. And if, that just, it doesn't look good when, you want the more attractive headline, the more people will click on it. What it would look like in the email. First and last for all there. And then what we're trending for, and I would say the keywords here are exactly what we want, Durango Coffee Company. So even though it says that's bad, it's good. So, this is not just plug and play, like plug it in, oh, I got a 15, that's bad. You have to use your smarts to say, oh, we're trending for Durango Coffee Company on that? Heck yeah, that's what it's about. So, all right. So, again, we've gone over some of this, but there are 10 times difference between the first and the last results on one page of search. And by that, I mean when you type in, Claudia Laws, 10 times more people are going to click on the first link that pops up versus the last. Maybe because it's my arrest report. Just checking. And 95% of people don't even look at that last one. They only look at the first 4. So I think if you guys probably use Google that way. Most of us do. And then again, what we've trended for versus what we've gotten page views for, and I just want to reiterate this, sometimes we trend for word combinations that we don't get any click-throughs for. And sometimes that's because our headline isn't written well enough, and sometimes it's because the headline's written so well that we trend for Hillary Clinton, even though people don't want to look at a sort of Hillary Clinton smoking pot, which they totally do. But so keywordtool.io is another pretty good tool. It's about a third free, so we'll use the free part. And it helps you identify what keywords to trend for when you're looking for something, when you're looking to write a headline, I mean. So, and it breaks it out by different applications. You can see Yahoo is totally going away. It's almost on none of these search tools anymore. So let's say you wanted to do Animus Reverseville. You have a story about that. So, and this is the part you pay for, but it is in search volume in reverse, or in from most search volume to least. So even though we can't see exactly what people are searching for there without paying, we do know that these are the most popular. So Animus Reverseville map is the #1 keyword search for Animus Reverseville. So if we have a map, we probably want to get map in that headline somehow. And you can see how it goes there. So obviously we don't want to say Animus Reverseville video, check it out, or whatever, but Animus Reverseville Durango is way down there, and I guess we often write Durango in those headlines. So let's see, what's another? Try Durango Coffee Company and see if anything pops for that.
I noticed the word update was in one of those. Does that sort of fall into the category of lots of times that it's a generic sort of? Yeah.
So no surprise, like we were talking about with long tail SEO, if people are searching for Durango Coffee Company, often they're searching for what's on the menu, how to get there. They're not looking for Durango Joe's, but maybe they are. So this is just a better example of those long tail keywords that people use. So Sam, give me a headline or a topic that we would be writing a headline for.
Can I give you Fort Lewis?
Yeah. You want just Fort Lewis, or you want?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. It's a good one. Fort Lewis College, Fort Lewis football. And that's kind of a bummer one, honestly, and see Fort Lewis basketball too. Because often we don't write football or basketball in the headlines because it is a little bit talking down to the reader. But maybe it is something we need to try to do more often.
We do in SEO, our net headers always say, like,
And it's another one where, if you see on here too, FLC is nowhere. And so I think we're all pretty good about writing out Fort Lewis College, but as you can see, that doesn't trend really at all. Sam, did you come up with one yet?
No, I stopped thinking.
So sad.
Thank John.
Yeah.
Wow. I was trying to think what's on my pages, but I do Nation and World all the time.
You know, you could even drill in and see Fort Lewis soccer and what extra trends in there. So schedule, roster, camp. Not really too much of a surprise there, but so that's a pretty handy tool just to see. You're like, okay, I know what my main keywords are, but if I want to really drill in and get one or two extras in there, that'll get us some traffic. And that's another one that I would recommend that we start using for all centerpieces moving forward. And it's keywordtool.io, and I can email those out afterward too, those two websites.
Can you try just like a Durango City Council?
Yeah.
What people are searching for when they say it.
And again, remember, so I'm searching Google right now, and Bing is a little different. So if you wanted to do both, you can. We get more traffic from Google, so it's better to write for Google headlines. And they're not too different, but they can be different a little bit. City Council, you said? Meeting schedule, meetings, election, candidates. And then we get down to 2013. Who's Kristen Smith?
She was a candidate.
So her and Christina Rinderly trend on there a little bit.
That's Elko Troyer right there, Christina Rinderly. He's doing an image search.
I'm surprised he left Durango.
Well, let's just jump over to Bing and see if they're the same. Oh, they're a little different. Council members, council meeting, council election, meeting schedules all the way down here. Men trend higher on Bing. Who knew? But yeah, those two women aren't here at all, and you do have this Keith Brandt and Sean Waddell on Bing. So, yeah, and you can get really lost in it. And like I said, there's a ton of keyword analyzers. There's a ton of headline analyzers. These are two that I like. If you guys stumble across one that you like, please let me know. I'm always open to exploring new tools. There's 8 million of them out there. Marketing is testing one called Moz right now for Dorado. So we're always checking out new stuff there. All right, just another reminder, because you can never be reminded too much, don't use click here to check out. You will get penalized, and I will bring out the ruler. As much as we'll talk about SEO, and we're going to start, and when I say we, I mean really Amy and I are going to start drilling in a lot more on SEO headlines. That said, do always remember, you're writing for the user, you're not writing for a computer. Don't talk down to our readers. Write headlines that make sense. You can write a headline that makes no sense that will turn great for SEO. And then remember, AP style is not always the best style for the user to find you, and the most obvious example of that is first name, last name. And then watch the length of your headlines, which is something that we haven't been doing very often, and I think that's something that could help us quite a bit. So a couple just side notes for you guys. This is a quote from one of my favorite writing coaches, Jim Stasiowski, and it's, we shouldn't have rules for writing, just things we're trying to accomplish, and I think that's a good rule of thumb for everything we do in journalism. Really look at what we're trying to accomplish, and for SEO, we're trying to deliver our stories to an audience. So we need to just really adapt our rules to be able to deliver that. Evil and stupidity, it doesn't matter what your headline is. It doesn't matter how bad it is. It doesn't matter how long or short it is. People will always read about evil and stupidity. So if you have that story, don't stress out about the headline. People are going to read it. And then like a good lead, your headline should always show how the story is different than others and really marry that search engine optimization with what the heart of the story is. And then this is just good writing rule overall. Don't use what I call stops. These are things that tell the reader to stop using or stop reading. And they're still 9R is still meeting. Who cares? Why would I read that story? You know, it remains, the incident remains under investigation. Okay. Is there anything new? You know, it continues. The group met. Don't use these stops because they tell your reader your story's boring and you shouldn't read any further. And that's in both headlines and in the story.
Tells us that there's no new news, tells them
Mhm.
there's no new news. If we're using those words in a story or a headline, because that's really what the story's about, we shouldn't be writing the story. The story should be advanced. If we're just saying, yeah, they're continuing to look at the issue. Well, you either didn't do your job in looking what the real story is, or it's not a story we should be running.
Or your headline's terrible.
Or your story, I mean, because
Yeah.
there's stories that use those words.
For sure. And then always, you know, emphasize the conflict or tension in the story in those headlines, what the meat of the story is, and really get that out there. And, you know, that's important. You know, like I said, we're going over SEO here, but we're also going over how stories appear on our website. And when you don't have a picture, you don't have a subhead, you don't have a graphic, emphasizing that conflict or tension, emphasizing what that, you know, the heart of the story is how you're going to get readers to click on that story from the website. Or from Facebook, for that matter. Any questions, comments? Stoked about keyword tools? I love it. The keyword tools are really fun, and I've talked about SEO before and how you guys can really geek out. If you start seeing things that, you know, as you're searching for these stories, like let's say you start searching 9R and you see that 9R buses is coming up every time. Well, most of the time our 9R stories do have buses in the headline in some way, shape, or form, but let's hella make sure if buses are in that story, it's in the headline. So if you start seeing trends like that, that's where we need to really share with the copy desk, with Sue, with Amy, with me, with each other. It sounds like John and your team are already kind of doing that. So just really share that information so that we eliminate some of that search time and checking out what's trending and what's not. Next week, we'll go over breaking news, kind of a basic plan, what to do. If you saw Amy today was building the breaking news flag, getting crafty with it. And yeah, so we'll drill in on that. That's it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.